Welcome to Valley Home Vibes, the podcast that's all about the sizzling hot real estate market right here in the Valley of the Sun. I'm your host, GT Campanile, joined by co-hosts Kevin Price and Laurent Abbotball, and we're thrilled to have you join us today as we delve deep into the captivating world of real estate right here in Phoenix, Arizona. Today, we're discussing interior design with Jim Postler from Anteroom Interiors. We'll be discussing the interior design of Phoenix, best design choices on a budget, and the trends that affect interior design. Without further ado, Jim, welcome to Valley Home Vibes.
Thank you so much. Glad to be with you guys. Welcome.
Laurent, you and Jim, you guys know each other. And how'd you guys meet?
Actually, we used to work together at Thomasville Furniture
Yes.
and that for a little while. And then, of course, started back with my agency. And now he's actually a good client of ours, of our agency. And Jim and I really picked up a nice friendship and enjoyed the business side, but also the personal side.
Absolutely. No, Ron's been a great partner when we worked together, then transitioning to with insurance for both my business and my home. He's been invaluable, kind of knowing what I do. He has an intimacy, knowing what I do for my design business. So that's been just critical for my success and security running my business.
So I guess I can get started on the question. I know you've been doing this for a while, Jim. Can you tell us about how long you've been doing it and what got you into the interior design?
Yeah, I'm happy to. Yeah, I'm past 30 years in the business as a designer. My firm, Anteroom Interiors, that I own, and I'm the principal designer of. Next year will mark our 15th year here in the Valley working. I'm excited by that, and especially over the past few years, has been a bit of a challenge. So I take pride in that. But we focus primarily on residential work, but also some like commercial hospitality. But definitely residential is our strong focus in my team.
Jim, how do you see Arizona's unique climate and culture influencing interior design trends?
Definitely, it has a major impact just because of our environment with the desert landscape. So many of my clients come here from somewhere else, much as I did when I moved out here 15 years ago from back east. So they bring their influence here. So there's not one set design style. There's not one set focus like you would see in California or Florida and other locations because they want to bring their influence here. So it's definitely, I often have to navigate that, incorporating their style and taste and what their backgrounds are from all over the country and even internationally in some cases, and adapt that to the desert lifestyle that we have here.
And just to piggyback on that, I think when people think of Southwest interior design, they're picturing like Hopi fabric designs and maybe Cocopelli and those sort of thing, cactus, little figurines. Is that gone or is that still a thing that people prefer to decorate their homes with?
I would say it's largely gone. People might have a wink, if you will, to that. They'll have a little flavor, largely in the architecture of a lot of the homes that are here, especially if they were built past 5 or 10 years ago. So the home itself gives them that effect, but they definitely want to bring it into a more modern aesthetic. Their design magazines, HGTV, travel are all major influences. They definitely want to bring that aesthetic to the homes here. But then I have to caution them, I can't turn desert Spanish colonial into a white modern California Malibu box. So my superpowers have a limit. So navigating that, like I said, is a big factor in what I do, but it's not like we want Indian blankets everywhere and cactus and I would say that's a rarity, at least in my work.
Okay.
Hey, Jim, Kevin here, but thanks for joining us. Going off of that, are there specific color schemes and materials that are particularly popular? I know we hear that Arizona is always the Wild West. What do you have on that?
I think we all could probably say we're over gray. That's gone. I think we want it to be. I'm about ready to put the last stake in the vampire heart for that one. But warmer colors and color itself, we're getting a lot of requests for that. Deep saturated colors, blues, greens, reds, just to really personalize the desert brown, tan, but still gray. It's not leaving us, but we're warming it up. But people want color after the pandemic. People want color. They want some richness. They want happy. It's just not should be cold and neutral unless they're prepared to sell or it's a short flip span, if you will, for the home, less than 5 years. Then they want to keep it neutral so a potential buyer can see what they want to do with the space. So One of my first questions when I start a new job is, how long do you see yourself here in the home? We need to think about a resale and exit strategy if it's going to be less than 5 years. So or past that, oh, do what you want. Let's go with that color. Let's have fun, because then someone else is going to want to make it their own after that, and they'll invest in that in most cases.
Are there any signature
right. No,
projects? Sorry, Kevin, go ahead.
No, I appreciate that. That's funny you bring up colors. So I was trying to convince my wife to paint our loft orange. And
Go for it.
over the grays as well. She said she's not having it. She's going to do more something color of my shirt, this greenish olive color.
Yeah. Those are neutrals. It still has some color, but you're still safe in that desert landscape. Colors that occur in nature never are a mistake, ever. But sometimes you want a little bit of fun in one space that might be like a loft that could be more whimsical or multi-purpose. Hey, go for it. It's paint. Easy to fix. So you can experiment there. It's not a costly way to go out, maybe outside your comfort zone.
Yeah, Jim, is there a particular project or a signature home that you worked on that maybe we've seen in magazines, or something that, that you could point us to on the internet, or something that's been challenging that you have overcome?
Challenging, I'll start there. I would say the whole pandemic period was definitely a challenge for my business in some good ways, and then a lot of challenging ways or frustrating ways from executing. Most of my work were a little under the radar. I tease my colleagues and clients that I'm the business designer in town you've never heard of. And I'm okay with that. A lot of the work we do will be transitional with clients. We'll be mixing old things and new. It's not as much where I get to come in, where you'll see in the magazines, they're doing a space totally from scratch and ready to photograph, and they want that. Ours are more mixed, a little bit old and new. That being said, we are finishing a couple of large scale renovation projects, because I want to move my business to that level where we can get published. And a couple of clients in particular want to know there's a story to tell. We want to do that. So that's one of my goals actually moving into 2024, that you'll see us more published and out there in the trade magazines and shelter magazines here in town. So that's it. That's maybe been part of the challenges. Okay, I want to take my projects to the next level of my clients and getting them comfortable to put the investment in so that we can get there. But I'm like, oh, you want that look? You got to let me accessorize. You got to let me do the last 10% of the work. So, or, okay, yeah, your house is in the East Valley, Scottsdale, Paradise Valley. You need to do the kitchen reno. You need to put in that Sub-Zero refrigerator. That's what people want to see in a magazine. They want to aspire to what they're seeing in the book. So that transition, my clientele to that's been a big factor in the past couple of years during the pandemic, and we're getting there slowly but surely.
Good. And how do you think the technology impacted the field of interior design, especially in the context of real estate?
My clientele and consumers as a whole, I find, both at a retail level and just interacting professionally with colleagues, the access to information. And sometimes that's a double-edged sword, because then clients often feel they have a lot of education and information, and that can make them a little more dangerous than I might like them to be. But the upside of technology is they can go on, they can play with their room, they can measure, lay it out, and start the process. So when they come to me, they have a great vision of what they want to do. So that's been huge in terms of empowering the homeowner in the design process and having them part of that process. And doing the research with websites, every retailer, every online, like a Wayfair, a Paragold, plus Crate and Barrel, RH, those kind of things, they can see it all. And then they come to me with information saying, we don't necessarily want that, but we have access to see what it is. So it helps me help them better, because they come to me already informed, as long as I don't have to talk them off a ledge or kind of a way of where, okay, that's great, but you don't know what's going on behind the scenes here. Might have to, rein you back in a little, but it really makes me work with my clients, or lets me work with my clients in a very advanced state. It's not starting from ground zero where they don't know anything.
Yeah.
So that's been a big change.
I love that kind of switching it in as a positive, because a lot of people just complain how the internet is just killing the industry. But I love it that you just switch it up. And
well, it is. You have to switch it up. Yeah.
That's great.
I mean, our clientele, fortunately, is a upper middle luxury client, or aspiring to be. So they want to look, but they also want the quality, and that the internet and the technology doesn't give them that information. They don't know what they're seeing, what's underneath the hood, so to speak. So that's where we're critical. And I think we become more important as professionals, not only design and real estate, construction, insurance. You can see commercials, websites, you see this internet, but you don't, that's a surface thing. You need the experts to guide you through those waters to make sure you're making the best investment and the best selections and best choices to execute and get the look you're seeing, the qualities behind it.
Thanks.
Right. That all makes sense. Now, what type of advice would you give to homeowners who are trying to increase the curb appeal for potential buyers? Because, like you said, they may want to live in it for a while, but then they may want to switch it up to encourage a potential buyer. What would you suggest for them?
From a curb appeal standpoint outside, certainly just having a nice, neat, showing that you've maintained your property. It doesn't have to, you don't have to spend a fortune on landscaping, but you can keep it neat and tidy because that shows you care about your property. That's the first thing I tell folks. Again, a lot of my clients, fortunately, they have people doing that. So they just regularly maintain. So I don't have to come in and be like, wow, clean this up, or there's a lot of changes you need to make. But on the inside of things, definitely keep it neat, staged. You need to show your house furnished. It needs to show how someone else can live here. Because again, today's consumer is so visual and they're seeing finished spaces online and in stores. If they happen to go out, they want to see the finished space they're about to purchase. And they'll change it to make their own. And hopefully that's where I come into play with my clients. And I often advise clients as they're looking for a home and said, okay, here's what we might have to do to this. Oh yeah, you saw this, but don't let that throw you. That was particular to this current homeowner. We can do this. So we can pivot and make this and show how the space can translate to a new homeowner. But at least they're seeing the sofa goes here. I know the Christmas tree will be over here. This is how we're going to have the stuff at the island and have our breakfast every day. This is how we're going to live on a daily basis in the house. And then we come up with a game plan to make it their own. But they at least feel like they're starting from ground zero when they are purchasing a property.
Gotcha. That makes sense. So then do you also work with local builders? Is the builder your customer, or do you have the home buyer as your customer? Which one do you work with more?
I would say 80% of my business is working with the current or potential homeowner, but I do have relationships with builders and contractors in town who will bring me in on a job to say, hey, I'll make the wall work. I can't help you tell you what the wall should look like. Or if we're here, you bought this house, you got a great deal, the kitchen needs a reno. I can execute it, but what kind of countertop, the appliances you should get, those things. Here, let me bring Jim in and his team. So it's both, but mostly I'm usually working with builders via the homeowner because they already have that relationship established.
That makes sense. Okay, cool. Thank you.
Of course.
All right. And I guess one more question. How can homeowners or real estate professionals connect and effectively communicate with an interior design?
Yeah. I mean, there's that I could talk about for about 2 hours or more. I think when you first choose to engage a professional like myself, just come prepared. And by that, I mean, you're prepared to do a project, but be prepared to really be open as much as you can. We really develop a personal relationship with our clients. We see them at not their best light in many cases once we get into a project. And when I know I can come to a house and a client's comfortable coming to the door, not that I want this to be the case, but it's happened once. It basically, a t-shirt, boxer shorts, because they feel comfortable us being in their home and then we're part of the family. Then they can open up to me. And that did happen once. Okay, too much info, but okay. They can then open up to you about information. Critical question is, have an idea of the scope of work you want, have an idea of when you want that executed, and honestly really have a handle on a true, honest budget you're willing to invest in your project, because those things let me help you better. Otherwise, I have to do my own research, and I'll tell clients who buy a new home, if you don't say anything, I'm going to go off the home value. I'm going to go off the neighborhood you're in. I'm going to go off these intangibles and plus the look you told me about to create a design for you. But you might be blown away about how much it costs because you weren't willing to tell me up front. But if you're buying $1 million house and you have nothing to start with, you need to have $100,000 to $200,000 to make it the home you want it to be from total to the end. And you might not be prepared to do that right away. And a lot of people aren't. We would develop a game plan with you, but at the end of the day, you're going to invest that. You just don't realize it until you do it. But once we get that out of the way, that's where we can excel and do the best work for you, because we know what we're working with, both creatively, what resources we have. So that would be the most major thing I could say when you're bringing in a designer like myself. Have that kind of information ready to go and be comfortable with them. Interview them. Take your time. They're going to be part of your lives for 6 months, a year, maybe more. And hopefully later projects. They're going to get to know all your life. and your kids, your pets, the holidays, your idiosyncrasies. I'll see you blow up. I'll say, oh, we're at that bottle of wine stage of the project. I warned you. Here I come with the bottle you told me you like, so we can get over it because it's going to be okay. We become part of people's families, and for better or for worse. And we fight, and we have all those fun things that go on. Be someone you're comfortable with, and be prepared to have honest conversations about your life, how you live, your resources, and those things. And I'll stop rambling. I can go off on this for a long time.
Thanks, Jim. That's a wrap, folks. If you have any questions about interior design or you need a designer, please reach out to us using the links below. Jim, do you want to give a plug on where people can find you?
I would love to. Thank you. Best way is online.com is our website. It's evolving, but you can check us out there. All of my contact information's there. And we'd love to help anyone here's listening. We work all over the Valley. We're open to anything and any size project, large to small.
We'll also put Jim's contact and business information in the link below. Lastly, please don't forget to click the like button and subscribe. This is GT signing off from Valley Home Vibes.
Thanks again, Jim. Have a good day.
Jim, appreciate your time.
My pleasure. Nice meeting you guys.